Before we get started, one more thing. If you want to get any PE gear, be sure to check out TotalManShop.com. That is TotalManShop.com. And use the promo code MHS2020. Promo code is MHS2020 and get 12% off. Be sure to check out their wide variety of all kinds of good quality PE equipment. All right? And that's promo code MHS2020 for 12% off. And the website, once again, is TotalManShop.com. What is going on, gentlemen? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. I hope you guys are having another spectacular day. Today's topic is going to be about, fat loss, step number 2. As you guys remember, we talked about step 1 and what that entails, and how the most important thing is to start knowing what you're consuming. Now, as far as number 2 goes, this fat loss step is often overlooked by 90% of humanity, I'd say. Most people like to jump into what they should be getting next. What should I be consuming more of? Well, the truth of the matter is, the other most important step to losing weight isn't about what you should add, man. It's not even about the exercise you should add at all either. What you got to do is sit down and ask yourself, what can I take out? That's right. Everybody's out here thinking about what they should be adding into it. Like, hey, should I be taking these supplements? Should I be adding this? Should I be drinking more water? And drinking water, fantastic. However, before you worry about water, you should probably be worrying about, what am I taking in right now that's keeping me from actually getting hydrated? Am I consuming way too many? Or is the level of sodium that I'm consuming on a daily basis really good for me? Now, is sodium bad? Not at all. However, when you get it from processed food, it is complete crap, and it will do absolutely nothing good for you. In fact, anything you get that's processed, probably not the best thing for you. So I think that's what we will start off. Processed foods. Processed foods come enriched with vitamins, with minerals, and they slap it onto a tag, and they tell you that it is good for you. However, the problem with these synthetic vitamins and minerals is that it goes right through your body. Your gut doesn't pick them up. It doesn't absorb them. And you piss out about 90% of them. And it makes your piss all kinds of neon colors, which are not good for you. Because ultimately, all that stuff, guys, it's not, if it doesn't come from the earth, your body can't process it in the same way. The other thing that, in line with processed foods is also highly caloric, very, very dense foods. Perfect example of that. Me, I love nuts, right? I love peanuts. I love almonds. I love pecans. However, the one thing that a lot of us tend to forget is that these nuts are extremely high in calories. And you may be asking yourself, like, I just had a handful. However, that handful may have cost you 400 or 500 calories. When you consume that many calories, your body's got no place to put it and says, you know what? I'm going to add it right here to this here fat pad and make sure his penis appears to be smaller. Or adds it to your gut so that you never see your abs. So that's another thing that you should also be aware of. You should know that when you consume these foods, it has to go somewhere. Your body's going to say, cool, I got all this excess energy and I got no place to put it. So I am just going to add a little bit more rump, a little bit more junk in the trunk. Or cover up your abs just a little bit more, which is obviously not what we're going for. If you want to get the 8-pack, you want to get the 6-pack, you want to be able to see your serratus, man, your lower back, you want to be in excellent shape, you got to watch the caloric content in foods. So again, if you're consuming highly caloric, dense foods, I'd say take that out, man. And the next one, I know is going to hurt a lot of people. However, I think it's still something that we have to address because, hey, there's other alternatives, but the alternatives themselves also not good due to the cancer-causing properties of some of these things. But sodas. right? So your Coca-Cola, your Sprite, your Fanta, your cream soda. I myself could probably drink cream soda all day because I love it. However, I do not. In fact, I try to avoid it as much as possible. The problem with sodas is that if you're thirsty and you decide to drink a soda, your body's going to be like, awesome, I need more because I'm not hydrated. And then what happens is that you will consume more because your body will never actually get the signal that says, hey, buddy, you've had enough sugar now. It's time for you to just be done with this. And you are hydrated. Your body doesn't really register as it would, natural occurring foods. Like, let's say if you eat a banana, or let's say you eat another fruit like a papaya or something, try to eat 10 of those. Extremely difficult. Your body knows what's going on and says, okay, you've had enough. Pineapples, it's got that natural acidity that kind of stops us from consuming 2-3 pineapples in a row. It's almost like, yeah, you know what? If you want your tongue to fall off, keep doing this. Which is why I always err on the side of caution, but I always talk about how it's important for you guys to always consume things as closely as you can to its natural source. The processed stuff, the processed juice, the pops, the soda pops, all that stuff, man, it's been adulterated. And it's not really good for you. And the truth of the matter is that soda is high in calories. It's got all that added sugar, lacks all the vitamins and nutrients that we need. And instead of antioxidants, it's full of oxidants. It's full of all that stuff that's just going to make you into a fatty, which is not a good thing if you're looking to get shredded. If you're looking to lose fat, another thing that you should probably take out of your diet outside of the highly caloric foods is pop, soda pop, right? And the thing is with these sodas as well that you got to keep in mind is that every single time you drink a cup, it's 120 calories that you just consume. Let's say you drink 4 of those. That's 400, times 20. Let's say it's about 480 calories. 480 calories that you could have got a good steak, man. I mean, you could have got yourself a nice 8-ounce steak, depending on what the cut is. Of course, I'm not going to fight the vegans on it. But you could totally get yourself a nice cut steak, consume a lot of good protein. It's rich in all the stuff that you need. It got vitamins, minerals. It's loaded with all kinds of good stuff. And it's kind of one of these things that I'm discovering more about, and even learning about a carnivore diet that I said, what? I figured you guys would all be dead. But no, not the case. Turns out that the food industry is trying to pump us full of as many calories as they can from processed foods that do nothing to us. Hence the reason why most of the population is sick, unhealthy, and fat. But again, these are things that you guys got to look to avoid, guys. So, note to self, avoid soda pops. Next up, French fries and potato chips. Who doesn't love potato chips? Who doesn't love French fries? Lord knows I do. However, in different studies, it's actually been shown that French fries and potato chips has been linked to weight gain. I mean, what a concept, right? It just seems like everything that's delicious, you should probably just spit out. Because at this point, it's almost like it's all been adulterated, it's all been tampered with, and it's all got these different types of funky monkey chemicals that they add to just make it a little bit more addictive. Hence the reason why we're seeing childhood obesity spike up. We're also seeing, I think the approximations are that by 2030, 50% of the population will be obese. And even right now, I'd say, the population in Canada, at least, is probably more than 60, 70% overweight. And that's just from me walking around and just observing. So again, if you want to lose weight, ditch the French fries, ditch the potato chips. And the thing you got to keep in mind too with potato chips is that what's more baked, roasted, or fried potatoes may contain cancer-causing substances called acrylamides. Therefore, it's best to eat plain boiled potatoes. Or if you want to do one better yet, sweet potatoes. But potato chips, guys, if you got them, take it out of your diet. It is not worth having. It's not good. And it's going to keep making you fat. So the choice is yours. You can have the abs or you can be a fatty. And I lean towards the abs, guys. Because you believe in me, whether you want to be successful in PE or you just want to look good at the beach, it's always good to have these muscles visible, helps with circulation, better erections, helps you to perform better in every area of life. So again, like we're talking about here, it's all about omission as well. It's one of those things that, and the reason why I wanted to bring this up, and I'm trying to bring up these topics so that you guys can see that, the the fitness industry is always trying to sell people stuff like, oh, you want to lose weight, take the supplement. Oh, you're fasting, you should take this. Oh, you're doing keto, you should take that. Well, the truth of the matter is we should be looking at what should we be taking out. Everybody keeps adding because everybody's trying to make a profit. And the truth of the matter is you should be looking at what can I take out. Sure, there are things that you can implement that are going to help you lose weight, but you should be focusing more on what can I take out, man, because that's actually where it starts. Track your calories. All right. Now that you know exactly what's in the stuff that you're consuming, this will also help you to see it for yourself that this food that I'm eating has absolutely no nutritional value to me. I'm going to take it out. And in doing so, the consequence of it, the beautiful consequence, is that you're going to lose more weight and you're going to get more ripped, you're going to get more shredded, and you'll be able to live this life better, right? Because by being fat, let me tell you, man, you're not going to live a good life. You're not. Everything's going to suffer. Like I've told you before, I've been a fat man and I've been a lean man. Currently lean, and I plan on staying that way. Now that I got kids, I don't want to be the fat dad that can't run with his kids. I'll make sure I can still jump. I mean, I can still bench more than them until they turn at least 25. Can't let them catch up to me just yet. But the importance of staying in shape is for us to realize that a lot of what's keeping us back is through the food that we're consuming. And before you reach out to implement things, and I will do an episode on what you should add, but before we do that, we should talk about exactly this, because you got to know what not to eat, man, or different things you should be taking out. Smoking, drinking, those things are included too. Those are also lifestyle choices that we'll touch on later. But white bread, what do you know about white bread? Well, I could tell you right now at the top of my head, but even looking at the notes I got written down, is that it has absolutely no nutritional value for you. In fact, it is bleached and it will spike your blood sugar levels. One study that I got noted here of 9,267 people found that eating 2 slices, 120 grams of white bread per day was linked to up to a 40% risk of weight gain and obesity. Obesity, man, just from eating all that white bread? Swear, I don't even let my kids go near the white bread, man. I just don't. I'm like, I don't want you guys to be suffering from childhood obesity and all these things that I'm seeing. A lot of young kids on that playground where I'm like, hey, there's too much jiggle on these children. What are their parents up to? So if you want to do something that's good for you, good for yourself, good for your kids, man, make sure you avoid that Wonder Bread, because it's got absolutely nothing good in it, man. Candy bars. Come on, man. Candy bars have absolutely no nutritional value. They're probably around 300 calories, right? If you get the bigger ones, it might be around 400 or 500 calories. There's absolutely no nutritional value. The fact that it could even sit on that shelf for as long as it does tells you that it's loaded with preservatives. Problem with these preservatives is that they make their way into your body. Now, when you eat these preservatives, all of these chemicals tend to just hang around in your liver, your organs. And that's kind of where we see a lot of these diseases start to rise up, because when you have all that inside of your body, man, it's going to find a way to, just almost grow like a mold inside of your body, sap you of your energy, take away all the good life force that you need, man. It's not something that you want. In fact, it's something you want to avoid completely. So do yourself a favor, cut that out, man. Get rid of the chocolate bars. Next up, fruit juice. As you can see, we got a little bit of a trend going on with the stuff that's highly packed with sugar. Now, these fruit juices, one of the things that pisses me off is I'll see a fruit juice label and it's like, it's organic. I'm like, okay, cool, it's organic, right? So I looked into that, went down that rabbit hole, found out that what these companies will do is they'll have like one apple, chuck it in there into the chemical soup that is the juice that they make for us that sits on the shelves for years, or as long as it needs to. And after it's sat there, they say, well, it's got one fruit in it. So it's made from real fruit sources. And I'm like, there is absolutely nothing organic about this soup. or juice, rather. But I call it a chemical soup because God only knows what's going on inside of that soup. Can't be good for you. And I really don't think that, it's got any nutritional value. It does help to make you fat. So, hence the reason why I tell my clients to avoid it. And why I'm telling you, there's really nothing good in it. Tastes delicious. I'm not going to lie, all these foods have been made in a way or fabricated in a way so that they will always taste delicious, even look good too. All those nice, fancy, juices with their luminescent colors, which, by the way, those dyes are so full of toxicity that, they do say it contribute to some lifelong diseases like cancer, dementia, ADHD in children. I'm just saying. None of this stuff, guys. None of this stuff is good. Pastries, cookies, and cakes. Man, all that stuff is just loaded with calories, absolutely zero nutrients, and may also contain artificial trans fats, which are very harmful and linked to a lot of the diseases that I just mentioned. And it's kind of funny because right now, with COVID and all this stuff, and we're all talking about this virus out here, they're not talking about actually raising your immune system. I don't know what your government, but my government has never talked about diet, the importance of eating good, getting sunlight, which is something you should add, right? They don't talk about this stuff. They're telling us to, just go and get medications. I'll leave it at that. But they're telling you to do things synthetically when you should be asking yourself, what can I do from a holistic standpoint, man? Maybe get rid of a little bit of stress. Maybe make a little bit of love. After you're done getting laid, eat yourself a good, healthy meal. Some people just need that, unfortunately, because 90% of the food that I see being pumped out in the grocery stores, man, I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. But I'm seeing people that are just eating, like tons and tons of the stuff. Like, you ever observe somebody's cart when you're just kind of going through the grocery aisles and you're like, gosh, man, this guy's going to drink more soda pop than water. Again, going back to the stuff we should avoid, alcohol, especially beer. I know a lot of people are going to be kind of upset with that, but to be honest, the way I approach alcohol is like this. I drink about 2-3 times a year, and I drink to my fill. I kind of get a good buzz going, get a little bit of crunk, have a good time. And usually it's at my son's birthday barbecue. And it's a great time, and I enjoy the beer that I drink. I enjoy whatever's on the table, man. Anything goes. And I do this about twice a year. I have my fill. But if you're consuming beer every single night, and you're consuming a 6-pack, my advice for you to just get started is like bring it down to just the one beer. If you really like drinking beer that much, right? You drink the one beer and go from there. Slowly over time, you start to bring it down, right? And the reason why I tell people that is that you developed a habit. And I notice that in clients, it's almost like, well, I just like my beer after, I get home from work or whatever. And, I like to go from 1 to 2 to 6 to 7. And what I realize is that for these people, it's more about the habit. It's not the actual consumption that gives them joy. It's almost like he feels he needs to have that. The other thing that I found as well is that for cigarette smokers, people get up, they make coffee, have their morning cigarette, and I understand that too. It's a habitual thing. And the most important thing to breaking these habits is being A, conscious, and B, replacing that habit with something else. The moment you do that, you will be free from it. And again, going back to drinking alcohol in moderation is okay. You can actually include alcohol into your diet if you're smart about it, right? So like, let's say you're like, hey, I drink vodka with water. And I know it's not, the best. It doesn't taste that great, or you can say, hey, I'm going to mix this vodka with some sparkling water, something like that. Whatever it is that you're into. Me, I always drank Stoli's vodka, my favorite. I know it's Russian, but whatever, man. Like, it was delicious. I'm not about to boycott vodka, man. Come on, man. Not going to get into that. But that being said, whatever it is that you choose, You just got to make sure that you know exactly what the caloric content in it is, right? And if you want to keep drinking, follow suit. However, they come up with studies trying to justify the fact that we should drink in all kinds of wine, this, that, and the other. You just got to listen to yourself, listen to your body, and ask yourself, do I really need to be consuming this right now? Do I really need to be drinking, half a bottle of wine every night? Ask yourself, is it really worth it? Next up, ice cream. I love ice cream. However, when you drink that or you eat that much ice cream, it's a great way to gain weight. So do yourself a favor. The one thing I would recommend here is you can always look for frozen full fat yogurt. Yes, the calories are a little bit higher. However, it does not spike your insulin levels that much. And keep in mind, when your blood sugar levels are high, it's going to be damn near impossible to lose weight. You'll be in basically a fat storing mode. And unfortunately, what I see a lot too is a lot of guys will just be constantly consuming, snacking in between meals, and never really give their body, that time to really just relax and allow their body to go from having that elevated sugar level to just dropping and, really burning some serious fat. There's a lot of talk about whether you should do your cardio fasted or not in the mornings. I kind of lean more towards that. Yeah, you should probably do it fasted. Wouldn't hurt. However, just doing cardio, period, wouldn't hurt. And one of the things that they talk about and why it's important to do it fasted is that your sugar levels are low. You're in a fat burning state. So because of this, being in that fasted state, it should help you to burn fat faster. Food for thought and just something to keep in mind. Now, high calorie coffee drinks. I don't know about you guys out here, but I am a big time coffee consumer. I love coffee. However, I will never, ever, ever go to Starbucks and drink their mocha latte frappuccino unicorn 5000. Why? Because I know it's got about 6 million calories in it. And it's pure sugar, and none of it is really good for me. Again, we go back to the simple fact of, is this stuff really good for you? And the truth of the matter is that it's not. It's not good for you. But the other thing we got to keep in mind is that with this many calories, that much sugar, it's just going to store itself onto your midsection or somewhere else on your body. And if you want to have elevated, body fat levels, then by all means, consume it. If it doesn't bug you, then by all means, man. However, we're talking about fat loss here. And one of the things that you got to be mindful of when it comes to fat loss is the fact that this stuff will do you absolutely no favors. Shoot, I think if you drink this stuff every single day, it might even lead you down the road of diabetes. And type 2 diabetes is just on the rise in North America. We got to ask ourselves why. Why is it that all this stuff is just soaring through the roof? I mean, to me, it's very simple. It's our diet. I'm talking about fat loss here, but I think the other thing to keep in mind too is that we are just unhealthy in the society, man. Like, we are just unhealthy, unfortunately, because we have all the tools to be as healthy as possible right now as humans. There's a lot of things that are playing into it, a lot of things that I used to think were conspiracy are not. It's not really theoretical anymore. This stuff is out there. Your seedless bananas, great example. Now there's sterile bananas. You got to ask yourself why. Then what happens when I consume this stuff? What's it doing to me from a hormonal perspective? All this stuff ties into why we're in the situation we're in, right? So you got to be mindful about the food you eat, and you got to be mindful about what you take out if you really want to lose fat. The other thing I want to touch on is stress. Stress, my friends. Stress is probably the biggest thing holding you back. And I'm not just talking about elevated cortisol levels and that. And people often give cortisol, a bad rap. But the truth of the matter is that you need these hormones in your body for more than just, what they've been presented to you via the mainstream media. And when it comes to the mainstream media, hey, man, I don't really, let's just say I'm a little bit more critical whenever I hear anything coming from legacy media, mainstream media, or even social media. Even there's a lot of great people out there trying to bring out the truth when it comes to these things, because the truth of the matter is that There's so much BS out there that you really got to sift through for kernels of truth. And that's kind of why I'm making this series, I guess, because I want to tell you guys the truth when it comes to losing fat. And the truth of the matter is, it's not going to come from what you consume. Yeah. Well, take that back. Take that back. In this episode, it's not about what you consume. It's more about what you omit, what you take out, right? But there are obviously different things that you will have to consume, right? But they're not sexy. They're not sellable. And they really can't profit off of telling you just, get some good, healthy protein, get yourself some white rice. Even though a lot of people talk about, hey, white rice isn't the best. You should go with couscous, quinoa, whatever. But I'm like, hey, you know what? White rice is one of those things that we have been eating around the globe for years and years. And I'm seeing places like Vietnam, or I'm seeing places like Peru. I'm seeing different places around the world where it's like, hey, they don't have the same, rates of diabetes, obesity, the same way that we see in North America. And they're eating rice almost every day. What? And what's going on? Is their rice special? What's going on with them? The other thing is, obviously, they're not consuming the same massive amounts as us. I think here the biggest thing is that we consume way, way, way too much, which is another thing just in general, a general guideline, guys. It's consume less. You don't need to eat as much as they tell you. Did you know the food industry pumps out about 4,000 calories worth of food for you every single day? That's what they want you to eat. Why? Because they can make a profit off of that. And half of this stuff that they're pumping into it is all shit, man. Like, it's all crap. Loaded with oil. None of that stuff is good for you, man. Like, all that processed stuff in the middle. If you can't read half of the ingredients in it, man, just cut it out. Don't eat it. Take it out, man. It's not worth it. Doritos, all that stuff, all that processed food, guys. That's basically what you got to cut out. Going back to the stressful situations are always going to be around. Things that I would recommend to just kind of battle it, man, is avoid the people or the things that cause you stress. I know a lot of us, we got to go to work, and it is what it is. But just do your best to avoid the people or the situations that will cause stress or bring stress into your life. The other thing I would advise too, thing that really helps me out, is meditate. The more you meditate, my friend, the better. Meditation is one of those things where it just helps you to be more mindful and just allows you to kind of go through life, just navigating through and just, breathe better, feel better, and just be mindful of every single situation around you. It gives you clarity, it gives you focus, and it just helps to kind of give you that extra edge. Same with semen retention. Semen retention, for all those guys that don't know, that's where you just hold on to your ejaculate. Obviously, you can still do your PE exercises. I'm still big on that. But obviously, you just don't bust your nut. You got to hold on to it. And you can even get laid, but hold on to your nut, There's obviously different schools of thoughts as to how often you should be releasing according to your age. I think, anywhere from 3 to 5 for guys around 33. I think that's fantastic. More than anything, just kind of stop watching porn, stop fapping, because fapping is for children. I mean, straight up. Might not sound cool, but if you're constantly watching that crap, just know that it's not doing anything good for your brain, and it's not worth it in the long run. It's altering your psychology, guys. It is literally changing your mind. It is changing the way that you look at things, the way you look at life, unfortunately, and for the negative. Don't be controlled by a bunch of pixels. Go out there and get yourself some real pussy. Why? Because it tastes better, looks better, feels better. You don't want to be controlled by a computer, man. Come on, man. Right? That's the one thing you do got to include more of. More of that punani fruit. Vitamin punani will solve a lot of good things in your life. Helps to get rid of the stress, too. With that being said, guys, you do want to take out those foods that I mentioned, take out the stress, and focus on, getting yourself started. So again, track your calories. That was step 1. You got to know what you're consuming. Step 2, now that you're a little bit more cognizant about what you're consuming, you're a little bit more in tune with what you're eating. At this point, I want you guys to take out the stuff that is doing you no favors, that is not serving you in any way. That dead food, that crappy food, that cyanide sprayed food, that GMO food, all that processed crap, man. all that stuff. You know what you should be consuming and what you shouldn't be. Deep down, we all know the processed Doritos, man, you know that already. The ice cream, come on, man. And if you are looking to consume foods that are along those lines, just look for a healthy alternate, right? As mentioned before with the ice cream, go for some healthy frozen yogurt. Go for something along those lines that you can say, hey, you know what? This stuff is delicious, but it's not going to harm me in the way that ice cream, that high fructose corn syrup laced ice cream is going to spike my insulin and give me absolutely no vitamins, no nutrients, no life force, baby. So just keep that in mind, guys. So today's episode is all about omission. Omission. And the next episode, we'll talk about the next step. With that being said, I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. And thank you for tuning into this episode of the Masculine Health Solutions Podcast. On that note, stay safe and take care. You know, man.